G'day, I'm Mark from Self-Sufficient Me, and in this video I want to show you an experiment I've been conducting growing veggies and herbs in plastic milk containers. And now I'm going to share with you the results. Let's get into it. Now, if you follow my channel closely, you'd know that I recently got a slab poured at the back of our shed. And the reason for that primarily was that I could have some type of nursery set up. But not only that, it was also so that I could conduct some of these mad scientific experiments, particularly based on small space gardening, so that those of you out there that are living in smaller places be encouraged to grow your own fruit, veg and herbs. I've always said you needn't have a huge backyard to grow your own food. In fact, small spaces can be very productive, and that is why I'm experimenting with this type of scenario. I'm looking at the typical, say, university student. Not a lot of money, trying to get by, renting in an apartment, perhaps on a balcony, bit of a sunny balcony, that's all you have. And you don't want to waste too much money on buying equipment. Perhaps you can upcycle or recycle something that you've already purchased. In this case, I've used milk bottles. They're the 3 litre type. This is the type of milk carton we buy for our 2 boys. They drink a heck of a lot of milk. They are also a really good size. But let's just go through the beginnings of this experiment and how I set it up. First of all, I collected the milk bottles, of course, and then I just marked out an area on the front to cut out. It doesn't have to be precise, but what I recommend you do is cut out a piece of the front so that you maintain the integrity of the container itself. You want to keep the handle on the back. You also want to keep a little bit of the top, and because you've got to have some drainage, I heated up a screwdriver and I just pushed the drainage holes in on each corner about 1 centimetre or ½ an inch up from the base of the bottom of the milk bottle. And that way you've got this perfect pot that you can grow a plant in that is not only a decent size, but it's easy to move around. You just have to grab it like you're grabbing a bottle of milk. The soil or the medium that goes into here is important as well. You don't want anything too heavy, but then again, you don't want anything too light either, because if it's too light and you're in a warm climate, the plants will dry out way too fast. They're already going to be limited in space as it is for their root growth. So the last thing you want is either too heavy or too light soil. So you've got to try to make that mix. And the mix that I used for this was slightly heavier than what I would normally use for a general potting mix. And the way I did that was I used some of our own soil mixed in with some of our own organic fertilizer. It was a well-rotted chicken manure. And then I used standard premium potting mix to get that free draining. I added some perlite, a whole bag of it, to about 3/4 of a wheelbarrow, and also some commercial organic fertilizer, and mixed it all in well. And that's what I used to fill these milk carton containers to grow these plants in. So the seeds that I sowed were lettuce, carrots, radish, beans, a dwarf bean variety, so they're not a climbing bean, so they don't grow very big, some basil, some chives, and also cucumber. And that cucumber is a dwarf variety. I sowed a number of seeds in each container to make sure that I at least had some that would germinate. And then once I had the germination, I then thinned the seedlings out to 1 or 2, sometimes 3 plants per container. The basil I left grow a little more because I wanted that to bush out. It didn't really matter too much. The cucumber I thinned out to 2 plants only, and that was the same with the radish, 2 to 3 plants for radish, about 2 for lettuce, and about 2 roughly for the carrots, maybe 3 here or there. Once the plants were thinned out, then it was just a matter of leaving them grow and maintaining those plants and ensuring that they got the best care possible so that you could get maximum crop value out of it. And how did I do that? Well, you've got to, of course, water the plants and feed them. And I watered these regularly. Part of the issue I had were coming into summer, and I knew that many of these plants wouldn't like the extra heat, and I also knew that it would even be a little more challenging because you're growing them in small containers like this that are susceptible to dry out faster. I was watering these plants every day, but over this last month especially, it got so hot that I actually had to move these plants to several different locations. Even then I ended up having to get shade cloth and cover them from that direct sun. If I could have grown these a couple of months earlier, I think I would have had even better results. I did also fertilise, but I didn't fertilise for the first at least 4 weeks or so. Let the plants establish, let them suck up that fertiliser that already was within the medium itself, because you don't want to over-fertilise either. You can kill your plants with love. So after about a month, I started fertilising every 2 weeks with a liquid fertiliser, and that was enough to sustain the plants and keep them going. When you're watering regularly, the problem can be that you wash fertiliser out of the container before the plants get a chance to grab hold of it and use it. So that's why regular fertiliser is critical when you're growing in containers like this. And I'm thinking, to be honest with you, that I probably could have upped the fertiliser a little more, maybe fertilised once a week, but I will continue to test this out and also let these plants finish growing out, even though we're getting into the wrong time of year, and they will soon start to fail no matter what anyway. Hence why I wanted to get this out to you now. So let's just quickly go through these plants and see where we're at with them. The lettuce, this now, because of the heat and it's getting so warm, it's starting to go to seed. Well, it hasn't yet, but it's starting to get into a position where it's growing out to seed. That's the second plant. This first one here isn't yet. Still growing some good lettuce, and it's probably going to taste quite well. I haven't been harvesting much of it to eat or anything like that. I've just been cutting it back a little bit to promote some extra growth. And yeah, it's very nice. No problems at all with that. The carrots, well, they're still growing, and at this time of year, it's not horsefly. It's not unusual for carrots to be a little slow. They have to develop a root. So I'm going to keep these going for a little bit longer. I'll try to pick out the biggest one, and that's that one. You can see it's developing well, no problems at all, but it's nowhere big enough to eat. But it's working, and the leaves are healthy, no problem at all. The radish, this one's got 3 in it. This variety is only a small bulb of radish. Let's pick one out. It's fairly healthy looking, not bad at all. There we go. There's soil all over it. Yeah, no worries. Nice. A bit of dirt in there, but you get what I mean. It's working. The beans. There you go. Some good mature beans coming up and growing, and some smaller ones. Crunchy. Nice. No problems. Plants look a little sick, probably suffering again from the extra heat, but it's working. It is working. As far as herbs go, you've got the chives, which are still starting to grow out. They're growing nice and healthy as well, slowly, but once they get established, chives will grow very well, and you can cut them back and they'll grow again, of course. Basil, this is also growing quite well, and it's not a bad time of year for basil. All chives really. Chives will grow all year round here. Basil doesn't mind it too hot. as long as you keep the water up. And we've been cutting this back and using it. So, and it helps bush it out too. But the basil, this is a sweet basil variety, very healthy, very crunchy, bulky, you know, plump, nice, smells beautiful. So that's a success. And finally, the cucumber, dwarf cucumber. We're going to get a couple out of this. There's one small one here, and there's another one up here. Few more flowers, but to be honest, it's the wrong time of year now for cucumber. All of our cucumbers in the garden are starting to die back. You really got to pump the water into them, and for the next few months, you can't grow cucumbers in this part of the world. When summer's over and we start getting into autumn is the next time to plant cucumbers. And the other thing I probably would do is keep it to one plant. I can see through here that it's a bit root bound and you've got two plants competing. I don't think we should be trying to make them fight it out in such a small container. So what do you think? Do you think growing in milk containers like this was a successful experiment? I'll leave it up to you. Put your comments below in the comments section so that we can all learn from them. I think there's more I can get out of these, and I think growing it at the right time of year would be a good start. Fertilizing a little more, thinning out a little more as well would help grow these plants into even better specimens and more realistic food crops for a small space. By the way, if you want to see follow-up content on this experiment, I'll be showing that on my second channel, Self-Sufficient Me Too. So check that out. I guess overall, what I want people to take away from this experiment is the fact that you don't need a lot of space. You can grow these types of food crops, and I'm going to be trying many different others using this same experiment in recycled materials such as a milk carton, and get some good results out of it. You are able to supplement a food bill. Herbs alone are expensive as heck at the supermarket. Why not grow your own? They grow well in small containers like this. But you've got that recycling aspect, and I think the concept is sound. I want to refine it a lot more yet and get better at it myself, and I'll be sharing those experiments with you and also different types of crops that we can grow in here. Let's get better at it together. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and share the video around because that helps heaps. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.